Hey guys, this is Screamouts with another tutorial for DNB Academy. As always, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Really do appreciate the support. Today I want to talk a little bit about hard-hitting drums and what elements are actually in hard-hitting drums and why are they hard-hitting, because I know a lot of people are struggling to get their drums to pop, and a big thing of that is the transients, the body, and the tail, like the whole basically snare, the kick, and even the hats. So we're gonna look a little bit at that today and see how far we can go. Yeah. So right now I just have a kick load in. It's already quite aggressive. It's just a kick I made in Serum. I did tutorials on that in that direction. So we're going to focus on hats and snares. So you need to know kind of how a snare works. A snare is mostly a transient, which is like a clicking, snapping type of sound. And there's a body, which is like a oop. And there's a tail or a noise sound. It's like a psh. And as soon as you know this and you know where everything is, or supposed to be, you can build snares for basically anything. I already made a video where I'm building a snare from a waterfally sound and all of these things, but we can just build it from all these different snare samples together and get like a crazy Neuro snare. We just need to know what we're listening for. This, for example, this is some noise, some attack that we could use. That too. Just take everything that stands out. That's one of my own snares, so let's not take that. Too obvious. These all have everything we want in the Neuro snare, so let's go for other samples. Maybe some acoustic more layer. A lot of my snares here. Makes total sense. My library. Take an acoustic snare from there. Let's not take that already good sounding one. That might have a decent transient. Then we need a type of like a type of vibe. Let's look. Take something to find. Yeah, and then type of vibe. Okay. So how do we go about this? This is the tail, and in my logic, the transient is always in the beginning of the sample. So we're gonna take that sound, which has a bit of a aggressive beginning. We're going to use that aggressive beginning as our basically transient. Then we want a body like a oof type of thing, as you hear it a lot in more aggressive drum bass. So now we have our and we can kind of filter out the rest. Then together, we already got a little bit of what a snare, a Neuro snare, is going to sound like. But it sounds like nothing yet, but we need to remember, we need a kind of like a oomph. You can make that in Serum too. But I wanted to keep it really simple. And then some type of acoustic layer I like using. But that's up to taste, obviously. Some want these really electronic drums. It's basically all about the different parts you have. then we had some clappy sounds, some noisy sounds that are in the upper register. Give that some reverb. And then maybe another one for attack. Let's put those all in a group, that really helps. Take that off again, and then figure out the length of each hit. And then glue them together somehow. And in this case, I noticed our noise isn't strong enough. So we need some noise. So we're just gonna look for some noise samples. Exactly, something like really clean and standard sounding. I'm gonna add that to our snare. Just get more attack out of that. I think that transient is just a little bit too clicky. Look for something more. This also looks better, you know, transient if they're in the beginning like that, and then they're very concentrating in the beginning, and then they kind of go into more sustained waves is better. Then it really depends on your track, how long you want that sample to be. We can boost that acoustic sample also a bit because it's quite natural sounding. And that one, maybe we also need something a bit more pronounced. We could just use serum for that real quick, or just use a sample that has some of that tonality. So we're just gonna take basic shapes, make a little bit of a pitch automation here, trigger, envelope. And try out these different ones actually. You need that boom. And then maybe the length, because it's just way too long. Envelope as well. And then put that in there. And then, depending on the snare that you want, you can make it deeper too. play with that master tune. And what's really cool is you can distort this together, and then it will sound even more massive. So you could like use something like raw, and don't do it on all the channels maybe, but let's try it. And now you made a pretty hard-hitting snare because you knew what the different parts are that you need. You need some noise, and if you feel like the snare isn't strong enough, you probably need some more noise. If you feel like it's not hitting in the beginning as much, you can try to basically subgroup this and then make a little bit of an automation right here where the transient is. And if it's the wrong transient and it's still not hitting hard enough, then yeah, you probably need a different transient. So that's the ways you can kind of prove and test what is it my snare needs, what element is it. For example, I don't think that is the best like acoustic snare sample I've ever used, and I'll probably exchange it, but you can still tell by the weight the full snare has now that it's gonna hit in a context. You can just hear that it will hit. You can add a few more things, you could add some more texture and all of that, but that will get through a mix nicely. And yeah, it's just if you understand these fundamentals, it's gonna get much easier. So yeah, that's how you make hard-hitting snares. And on the next one, we're gonna talk about how to arrange that into like full Neuro break drums. Yeah, Neurofunk drums. Yeah, peace out.